Picture this, the Strait of Hormuz. 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, 176 tankers pass through every single week. 21% of the world's oil supply, every day, through this one narrow channel. And on April 11, 2026, Iran decided to close it. Maham-class sea mines deployed in the dark. Kamikaze drone swarms launched at dawn. Fast attack boat formations blocking the shipping lane. Tehran's most sophisticated naval trap. Years in the planning, activated in a single night. Then, something entered the strait. Something Iran had no answer for. Something so overwhelming, so precisely devastating, that within 96 hours, Iran's entire naval trap had backfired. Welcome. This is Strike Doctrine, your source for deep data-driven analysis of the world's most consequential military operations. Today, we are going to the Strait of Hormuz to break down exactly what entered those waters, exactly what Iran deployed, exactly what failed, and exactly what it means for the next chapter of this confrontation. Make sure you subscribe right now. Hit the notification bell. This story is still developing. You do not want to miss a single detail. Let us start with why the Strait of Hormuz is the single most important choke point on Earth. 21% of global oil supply, every single day, 17 million barrels of oil pass through this strait. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, UAE, Qatar. All of their oil exports through this one channel. No alternative route exists at scale. The next closest alternative, the Saudi East-West pipeline, can only carry 5 million barrels per day. Not 17, 5. When Iran threatens Hormuz, they threaten the entire global economy. Not just American interests, not just NATO, the entire world. And Iran has known this for 40 years. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy from the IRGC Navy has had one primary strategic doctrine since 1984. Strait of Hormuz denial, the ability to close the world's most important oil transit route at will, to use it as leverage, as a weapon, as a threat. According to the U.S. Naval Institute, Iran has invested over $40 billion in asymmetric naval capabilities specifically designed for Hormuz operations, not blue water warships, not aircraft carriers. Asymmetric weapons, cheap, numerous, deadly, designed to swarm and overwhelm a technologically superior adversary. Fast attack boats by the hundreds. Anti-ship cruise missiles, over 300 deployed. Kamikaze drone boats, unmanned surface vessels packed with explosives, and sea mines, thousands of them, including the Maham-class, Iran's most advanced indigenous naval mine. Let that sink in for a moment. The Maham-class mine deserves special attention because it is not a simple pressure mine. It is an influence mine. It detects acoustic signatures, the sound of engines, magnetic signatures, the metal of a hull, pressure signatures, the displacement of a large vessel. Only when all three conditions are met does it detonate. This makes it invisible to standard minesweeping operations. Standard sweepers trigger mines by mimicking one signature. The Maham requires all three simultaneously. Iran deployed an estimated 300 Maham-class mines across the strait in the operation we are covering today, 300 influence mines positioned at 3 key depth channels, the channels that every large tanker must pass through. It was, technically, a masterpiece of mine warfare, until something entered the strait that changed everything. But before we get to that, we need to understand how this crisis began, because the mines did not appear overnight. The trigger for this operation goes back 6 weeks earlier. In late February 2026, the same week that Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed in a joint US-Israeli airstrike, the IRGC Navy was placed on its highest alert status in 12 years. Admiral Alireza Tangsiri, commander of the IRGC Navy, activated the Hormuz Denial Protocol, a plan that had been rehearsed 17 times over the previous decade. According to Reuters and the Times of Israel, within 48 hours of Khamenei's death, IRGC naval units began pre-positioning assets near the strait. Fast attack boats moved into coastal caves along the Iranian shoreline. Mine-laying vessels departed port under cover of darkness. Drone boat units moved to forward operating positions on 3 Iranian islands in the strait, Abu Musa, Greater Tunb, and Lesser Tunb. Iran had been planning this moment for years. The death of Khamenei was the trigger. And that's only the first part of the story, because on the night of April 7th, 4 nights before our story reaches its climax, the mine-laying operation began in earnest. 3 IRGC mine-laying vessels departed Abu Musa Island, moving in total electronic silence, no radio transmissions, no radar emissions. Using pre-plotted GPS coordinates memorized by the crew, they deployed their mines in 3 separate lines across the 21-mile width of the strait. Line 1, Northern Shipping Channel. Line 2, Central Deep Water Channel. Line 3, Southern Tanker Lane. By 4 a.m. on April 8th, the mines were in the water. 300 Maham-class influence mines, covering every navigable channel. The Strait of Hormuz was effectively closed. The IRGC simultaneously launched 72 kamikaze drone boats toward the 2 nearest U.S. Navy vessels, the USS Bulkley and the USS Oscar Austin, both Arleigh Burke-class destroyers on patrol near the Omani coastline. The U.S. Navy was ready. This is where the response begins. The USS Bulkley's CIWS close-in weapon system engaged the drone boats at 1,200 meters. 20mm Vulcan cannon, 4,500 rounds per minute. 61 of the 72 drone boats were destroyed before reaching 500 meters. 11 breached the inner defense perimeter. All 11 were neutralized by directed energy weapons, the AN/SEQ-3 laser weapon system, now deployed on all forward deployed Arleigh Burke destroyers. 0 hits on U.S. vessels, 0 casualties. Iran's drone swarm neutralized in under 4 minutes. But what happened next was even more shocking. Because the U.S. response was not defensive, it was not a counterstrike. It was the activation of a pre-planned operation that had been ready for 2 years. Waiting for exactly this moment, the operation was called Operation Trident Passage, and at 0600 hours on April 9, 2026, it was activated. Phase 1, Air Superiority over the Strait. 4 F-35C stealth fighters launched from the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, operating 300 miles south of the strait. Their mission: destroy Iran's coastal anti-ship missile batteries along the northern shoreline. Specifically, the Noor anti-ship missile systems positioned on Abu Musa Island and on the Iranian coastal fortifications at Bandar Abbas. Each F-35C carried 4 GBU-31 Joint Direct Attack munitions, 2,000-pound precision bombs, and 2 AGM-158 JAS-SM cruise missiles. Standoff range 900 kilometers, launched from outside Iranian radar coverage. In 47 minutes, 11 coastal missile batteries were destroyed. 2 IRGC radar installations destroyed. 1 IRGC command and control facility at Bandar Abbas destroyed. Iran's ability to target ships in the strait with shore-based missiles eliminated. Admiral Samuel Paparo, commander of United States Indo-Pacific Command, stated, "The precision and speed of Phase 1 demonstrated capabilities that Iran fundamentally did not anticipate. Their coastal defense architecture was built for a different era of warfare." Phase 2, the mine-clearing operation. And this is where something massive entered the Strait of Hormuz. Not a carrier, not a destroyer, a specialized mine countermeasures task force, the largest assembled by any Western Navy since the Gulf War of 1991. Led by the Royal Navy's HMS Chiddingfold, a Hunt-class mine countermeasures vessel, accompanied by 3 U.S. Navy Avenger-class mine countermeasures ships, the USS Defender, the USS Chief, the USS Devastator, plus, and this is the classified element that changed the entire operation, 6 Mark 18 Mod 2 Kingfish autonomous underwater vehicles, unmanned, AI-powered, operating in coordinated swarms, each one equipped with high-resolution synthetic aperture sonar, able to identify and classify a mine at 50 meters range in complete darkness at a depth of 200 feet. 6 autonomous underwater vehicles, working simultaneously, mapping the entire minefield in real time, feeding data directly to a joint US-UK command centre aboard HMS Chiddingfold. This is where things get really strange, because the Maham-class mines, designed to defeat standard minesweeping, had one vulnerability Iran did not anticipate. The Kingfish AUV does not trigger mines. It does not mimic acoustic signatures. It does not generate magnetic fields. It moves on electric propulsion. Nearly zero acoustic signature, nearly zero magnetic signature, no pressure displacement. It weighs only 52 kilograms. The Maham influence mine, designed to ignore everything that does not match a large vessel, could not detect the Kingfish at all. The AUVs moved through the minefield completely undetected, mapping every single mine, transmitting coordinates in real time to the minesweeping vessels following behind. Within 31 hours, 287 of the 300 mines had been located and destroyed. The remaining 13 destroyed by MH-53E Sea Dragon helicopters using the Mk-105 magnetic minesweeping sled. The Strait of Hormuz minefield from 3 years in planning cleared in 31 hours. Dr. Bilal Saab, Senior Fellow and Director of the Defense and Security Program at the Middle East Institute, stated, Iran's Hormuz denial strategy rested on the assumption that minesweeping would take weeks. The deployment of autonomous underwater vehicles in coordinated swarms compressed that timeline to hours. It was a fundamental miscalculation by Tehran's naval planners. But the story doesn't end there. Because while the mine-clearing operation was underway, Phase 3 was already in motion. The decapitation strike. Admiral Alireza Tangsiri, commander of the IRGC Navy, the architect of the Hormuz denial strategy, had been under continuous surveillance for 11 days before the operation began. US intelligence had tracked his movement pattern. His forward command post, a reinforced facility buried beneath a coastal cliff near Bandar Abbas, identified. At 14:32 hours on April 10, 2026, a single AGM-158 BJAS SMER cruise missile launched from a B-1B Lancer bomber operating from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar struck that command post, penetration warhead, delayed fuse. The warhead entered the facility before detonating. Admiral Alireza Tangsiri, commander of the IRGC Navy, was killed at his command post, along with 11 senior IRGC naval officers. The brain behind the Hormuz trap was gone. Vice Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of U.S. Naval Forces Central Command, stated, "The elimination of the IRGC Navy command structure was a deliberate operational decision. You cannot separate the strategy from the strategist. Removing Admiral Tangsiri removed the operational coherence of Iran's naval doctrine." The IRGC response was immediate, but chaotic. Without Tangsiri's command and control, IRGC fast attack boat units received contradictory orders. 3 separate boat groups launched attacks on commercial vessels. All 3 were intercepted by USS Bulkley, USS Oscar Austin, and a Royal Navy Type 45 destroyer, HMS Dragon, operating under Task Force 154. 14 IRGC fast attack boats destroyed, 0 commercial vessels hit. By April 11th, the day of this broadcast, commercial tanker traffic through the Strait of Hormuz had partially resumed. 7 large crude tankers had transited the strait safely, under US and UK naval escort. Iran's 40-year Hormuz denial strategy, tested for the first time in full, and backfired completely. Now let us assess what this means strategically for Iran, for the region, for the world. First, Iran's asymmetric naval doctrine has been exposed. The doctrine assumed that swarms of cheap weapons, drones, mines, fast boats could overwhelm a technologically superior adversary. It assumed that minesweeping would take weeks. It assumed that shore-based missiles would survive long enough to threaten incoming naval forces. All three assumptions were wrong, proven wrong in 96 hours. Second, the autonomous underwater vehicle as a mine-clearing platform has now been validated in combat conditions for the first time. The Kingfish AUV swarm cleared 300 mines in 31 hours. The previous record, set by conventional minesweepers in the Gulf War, was 47 days for 1,000 mines. The mathematics are stark. Autonomous systems cleared mines 46 times faster than conventional minesweeping. This changes naval mine warfare doctrine for every navy on Earth. China is watching this. Russia is watching this. North Korea is watching this. If you are not already subscribed to Strike Doctrine, now is the time. This story has 3 more chapters still to come. Iran's internal response, the international coalition's next move, and the long-term future of the Strait of Hormuz. Subscribe now. Hit the bell. We will cover every development as it happens. Dr. Michael Connell, Director of Iranian Studies at the Center for Naval Analyses, stated, "This operation does not end Iran's Hormuz threat permanently. Iran will rebuild. It will adapt. But what it cannot rebuild quickly is the institutional knowledge lost with Admiral Tangsiri's death. That will take years to replace." Dr. Kenneth Pollock, Senior Fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, stated, "The speed of the US-UK response demonstrated a level of pre-planning and intelligence preparation that Iran clearly did not anticipate. The question now is whether Tehran will seek escalation or recalibration." Here is where we stand today. April 11, 2026, 300 Maham mines cleared, 11 IRGC coastal missile batteries destroyed, 72 kamikaze drone boats neutralized, 14 fast attack boats destroyed, IRGC Navy Commander Tangsiri eliminated, Strait of Hormuz partially reopened, global oil markets stabilizing, Iran's 40-year Hormuz doctrine exposed. But Iran has not surrendered. Iran has not negotiated. Iran's supreme leadership, now under new and uncertain command, is making decisions right now that will define the next chapter. Will Tehran seek revenge? Will it activate sleeper cells? Will it attempt a second Hormuz operation with adapted tactics? Or will it recalibrate, accepting that its primary strategic deterrent has been neutralized? Nobody knows the answer yet. Not Washington, not London, not even Tehran. So, what do you think? Has this operation permanently broken Iran's ability to threaten the Strait of Hormuz? Or will Tehran find a way to adapt and strike back harder? Leave your answer in the comments below. We read every single one. Subscribe to Strike Doctrine if this analysis gave you something no headline could. Share this video with anyone who needs to understand what is really happening in the Persian Gulf. Not politics, not opinion, data, facts, analysis, Strike Doctrine. Thanks for watching.